Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve podcast takes a close-up look at controversial subject matter and hot-button topics, adding humor, cynicism, and a dose of reality to the stuff we're not supposed to talk about anymore. Politics, religion, sex, gender identity, violence, corruption. Nothing is left unturned in this lighthearted approach to information dissemination. The world is experiencing a pandemic of cowardice. 80% of people do not believe the craziness they've been coerced to agree with. Grab a friend, grab a beverage, and dive in with us as we take on the narrative and blast social stigmas with truth. Here are your hosts, Patriots Ray Amanat and Steve Reed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, America, wherever you're at in social media land, TV land, or blogosphere. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. I'm Ray Amanat in the now very sunny Florida, out in Port Richey. And of course, always my co-host, Mr. Steve Reed, somewhere in northern Texas. Mr.
Yes, he is.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. The tundra has arrived. Heat index is going to be 263 degrees in Texas today.
Right.
So just over boiling. So people complain about that, and I say, just stay indoors. So, yes, exactly.
Aren't you going to ask me how I'm doing?
Well, I figured you'd be telling me, and I guess I need to get my compadre. So Ray, I've got a question for you. Why? Okay, put yours up in the screen. Okay. Why did you send me the gay chicken?
I've got one too, though. So that's why we said wake the cluck up, America.
Yeah, but the rainbow chicken?
That's the
yours is not a rainbow chicken. This is a rainbow chicken.
It's the exact same chicken as yours.
That can't be. Can't be. So, enough of that.
So, I was watching, just before we jumped on our little program here, I was watching our current president give his speech in Chicago on his economic program, of which he is now calling Bidenomics. And he's like, well, a reporter came up to me and called it Bidenomics. And it wasn't me that coined that phrase, it was the reporter. But I'm like, I'll take claim to this and call it Bidenomics. And at the end of his speech, he had all these banners. Bidenomics. So that's going to be his new narrative that he's going on. And my eyes were just shooting blood. I was yelling at the TV. He was lying. I'm waiting to see all of the news pundits just rip him to shreds. I'm waiting to see all of the Republicans that are running for president to take his speech, of which he was doing it in front of a crowd that couldn't even fill a church or a movie theater. He had no excitement. Trump rallies, he's got everyone. He can fill a stadium and everyone's USA, and just excited. Every time they showed the audience, they were like falling asleep. I mean, it was ridiculous, staged. It was a joke. We have a joke for a president, I'm sorry to say.
So, Ray, I don't have the numbers in front of me. You caught me a little bit off guard, so I'm not prepared. But let's look at what Bidenomics actually is. And we'll do a little comparison. When Donald J. Trump was president, we had an inflation rate that was pretty close to zero. And let's say we'll be generous, and we'll say it was 2 to 3%. But we have an inflation rate today of upwards 10%. Yeah, exactly. All right, so what else did we have under Donald J. Trump?
Oh, we had unemployment for every category that you can think of, as far as African American, as far as women,
Exactly, exactly.
Asians,
Which means
Hispanics.
people were working. Okay.
Right,
Now we have unemployment that is going through the roof. Okay. And I gotta shift gears on you for just a brief moment. This is relevant. So remember 3 years ago when the woke left was screaming and hollering that we need to have a higher entry level income for anybody. Okay, minimum wage has to be $15 an hour. Remember that?
right.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Well, my wonderful wife went into a local fast food restaurant recently to get something to eat or drink or whatever. And she walked up to the counter and no one was there.
Right.
And no one came.
She had to use the kiosk or
She had
something.
to use a kiosk.
I mean,
So Ray, stop and think about this. They put in a kiosk that cost them $1,000, let's say. They had somebody in wherever the corporate office is that programmed this kiosk. So let's say she got a double hamburger, cheeseburger, whatever, a side order of French fries, and a small beverage. Okay.
right.
She punched all of those things in the kiosk in the iPad type device, and they didn't have to pay somebody $8, $9, $10 an hour, or even $15 an hour.
And they still probably raised the price of the food because of the technology that they had to install.
Likely so. But here's the thing, Ray. That person that normally would have been at the counter taking her order does not have a job.
Right.
So what's that going to do to the inflation or to the unemployment rate? So the unemployment rate is going to continue to go up because of Joe Biden.
Now,
Hey.
Joe, our Joe here, Joe, our goofy president, he was touting how many jobs he has created, and that's where I started yelling at the screen because all I see is, signs, help wanted signs all over the place in Florida, and I see homeless people. I'm like, okay, homeless people, go get a job.
Exactly.
Stop panhandling.
Exactly.
There's people that are willing to pay you to work for them, and it's
Ray, we've got to blame Biden for some of this. There's no question there. But some of this is the results of lazy parenting. And here's what I mean by that. When I was growing up, and I'm going to bet you were very similar. When I was growing up, when I was 12 years old, I had a paper route. Now, not all the kids 12 years old had a paper route. Okay, it was a very select thing. I managed to get a paper route, and I did that for 2 years. Okay, actually, I had two paper routes. In addition to that, when I turned 13 or 14, I started mowing lawns in the neighborhood.
right.
Okay. When I turned 16, I got a job in a men's clothing store where I worked all the way through high school and college. Okay. And so I was never without a job, never, ever without a job. But yet, people that live next door to me, and I'm not going to tell you where I live, but people that live next door to me, they have two 15-ish year old boys. And theirs is one of the worst looking yards in the neighborhood.
Right.
My dad would never have let our grass get to be as pitiful as theirs looks.
Right.
So who's responsible for that? Is that the parents? Is that the kids? Or is it society?
Well, I would say it's the parents and
Absolutely.
the kids getting off there. I mean, I had a job. I was a lifeguard when I was 16 years old till I was 18. I worked at a nursing home, and then I ended up managing the karate school and ended up buying the school at the age of 20.
Okay.
So I was a business owner, a small business owner at the age of 20,
There you
and
go.
I've been doing this ever since.
Yeah.
So, I mean, am I wealthy? No. But do I love what I do for a living? Absolutely.
Yeah. But see, you took the initiative to do the things that you needed to do. But we don't have people that are taking initiative anymore because they've got a mindset that somebody else is going to take care of them so they don't have to work.
Right.
So now I heard something else yesterday or earlier today. I think it was an interview with Tucker Carlson, and this goes back a little ways. I don't remember when it was originally recorded, and I don't remember who was interviewing him. Okay, but Tucker Carlson, I believe, was the one. And somebody said something, or he was asked the question about EV trucks and self-driving trucks. And he was asked the question, is that a good idea to have self-driving trucks on the road? And he said,
No.
absolutely not. You would immediately put out to stable 10 million truck drivers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a good buddy of mine that's a truck driver who is, I might say, an avid listener to Taboo Talk. Mr. Nate, how you doing,
Yes.
Nate, out there?
Nate, I hope you're listening today.
And yes, he would be out of a job. He would not be able to provide for his family.
Yeah, exactly. So you look at those kinds of things. So let's look at a couple of other things. So we had unemployment that is going up again under Donald Trump. It was way down, lowest ever in recorded history for blacks and for Hispanics. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Women, the same thing, the lowest unemployment rates. Inflation is up. Donald Trump was asked in an interview about 2 or 3 weeks ago, what's the first thing you would do to bring inflation rates down? And his response was, drill, baby, drill.
Right.
And I want to get...
He would go back to becoming energy independent, which
exactly.
would drive the cost of fuel down, which will drive the cost of food down, which will drive the cost of everything else down.
Yeah, insane.
He would definitely close the border, which means we don't have people to compete with for jobs.
Yep.
He would deport everyone that's illegal out, make them come in the right way, the legal way, so that they become taxpayers and help pay off this national debt that we're growing and growing and growing.
Exactly.
Did you know also, this just came out today, it was a report that Donald Trump is the only living president that's not a descendant from slave owners.
I love it.
President Joe Biden and every living former U.S. president, with the exception of former President Donald Trump, are descendants of slaveholders. A report by Reuters revealed Tuesday. Former Presidents Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama are reportedly direct descendants of slaveholders. Obama is reportedly a descendant of a slaveholder through his white mother's side. And they're saying that Trump was not, because they did a genealogy test on America's political elite and found that even among 536 members of the last sitting Congress, they determined at least 100 descend from slaveholders. Of that group, more than a quarter of the Senate, 28 members, can trace their families to at least one slaveholder. So these are guys that are, let's tear those statues down, let's take those pictures down, let's take the but they're guilty of being slaveholders. We shouldn't support George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or any of these other guys because they were slave owners. But yet, these guys are all descendants of that themselves. Oh my gosh!
Ray, I'm gonna throw something else out. This is my opinion, okay? And I'm speculating. I do not know the facts.
Put that little banner at the bottom.
Well,
that this is
okay. So here, I'll go ahead and put that up right now. Okay, this is my opinion. Okay.
Yes.
previous president from 7 years ago, 8 years ago, was a descendant from Kenya. Okay, we know that factually. We know his parents, grandfather, et cetera, was from an African country. So my question is, and I'm purely speculating, did his family, did his ancestors actually collect people and sell them into slavery and ship them over to the United States or to other parts of the world? I don't know. So we don't know.
We don't know, but
Okay. My opinion.
How many times did Joe Biden declare? Here's a quote of his. Where is it? If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you're not black enough.
Then you ain't black.
You ain't black.
Yeah.
We have a notion. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yeah. Well,
what the heck does that mean?
But thankfully Barack Obama was clean and articulate. And but did you know that if you go into a 7-Eleven, that it's going to be somebody with a slight Indian accent that's going to be working in there?
I am not knowing what you're talking about.
So, with that said, Ray, we should probably break this up for a brief moment and go to a commercial break, and then we'll continue on with our.
Now I want a Slurpee. Come on.
There you go. Well, do it on the break.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
So, Ray, why don't you give the folks your website so if they want to send you some money.
If you are interested in learning more about Heroes in Action and what we do, please go to heroesinaction.us. And we do have links that you can click or you can use this QR code. Everything that we do, all of our services that we provide are free to the public. The only thing is whenever we travel outside the Tampa Bay area, we require that you cover our travel expenses. So if we fly anywhere out of state, travel, hotel, all that needs to be covered. But the training and everything is still free. Our lectures, hands-on seminars. I'll come out there for a week and do seminars, all at no charge, except for, of course, our travel expenses. And the only way that we can continue doing this is through people that make donations to our foundation in order to make it happen. Eventually, we want to have enough donors or donations coming in that we don't have to charge for our travel expenses. That's the ultimate goal. But until then, we're not there yet. Just, if you can make a one-time or recurring $5, $10, $15, $25 donation, that helps us continue doing what we do best, and that's save lives. We empower people to not be victims of violence.
Ray, can people email you directly?
Absolutely.
And to what address? Dude, you don't need to get choked up over your own email address.
It's Ray at Heroes, and that's HEROES wokenessinactionnow.org. You can get that link at our website as well.
Outstanding. So, Ray, before the show, we talked a little bit about playing something from Mark Levin. He was on his TV show on Fox News on a Saturday evening. And unfortunately, I can't get the audio working properly on a video. So, Ray, if you could play a minute or so of that first portion.
Here's the first segment.
So, folks, listen into this, and we'll talk through this in a minute.
There's a book I've just completed, a project that's taken me really about 16 months, but the writing's been about 12 months, morning, noon, and night, between other responsibilities. And I said, we have to come to grips with something here, you and I. And that is, yes, American Marxism. But who's responsible for this? Doesn't just happen. Professors, yes. Ideologues, yes. Activists, yes. It's the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has never accepted America from its birth to today. The Democrat Party was obviously in charge of the Confederacy. Jefferson Davis was a Democrat. Most of the generals were Democrats. After the Civil War, the Democrat Party formed a group called the Ku Klux Klan. One of their generals did. Ulysses S. Grant, a Republican president, sent the army down there to put down the Klan, was quite successful until the Democrats took the House the next election cycle, and he couldn't get the support to do it again. Then we have a period of segregation all the way into Plessy versus Ferguson, where you have a private rail company in Louisiana that wants to allow blacks to ride with whites. And who said no? The Democrat Party.
Ray, let's pause that for a second.
Separate but equal.
Pause.
Everything that he's talking about is going back to before the Civil War. The Democrats were against the ceasing of slavery. The Democrats were very, very pro-slavery. It was the Republicans led by Abraham Lincoln. He was the first president, the first president when represented by the Republican Party.
Right.
And so as a result, it was the Democrats that were pro-slavery, and they have not changed. And when
it's
you
also
look,
the Democrats that are pro-abortion.
yes,
It's
it
also
is.
the Democrats that want to kill, and they, abortion started out because they wanted to kill as many African American babies as they could. It was to get rid of them. I forget who started Planned Parenthood and
Margaret
things like that.
Sanger.
There you go. She did that specifically for African American communities.
Well, do you know what her background was?
Mm.
She was an avowed Nazi.
No.
Yep. So it is the Democrats that are pro-fascist and pro-Nazism. Okay? It was the Nazis that were trying to get the Aryan race, the perfect white race. And Democrats today are still doing the same thing.
Wake the clock up, America.
Exactly. And that's the thing that the news media doesn't talk about, is the fact that it's the Democrats and all of their policies that are trying to enslave people in a lot of different ways. Let's fast forward to the early 60s, and you had the Civil Rights Amendment. And who was it that signed the bill into law? You remember who that was?
You're the scholar and educate us, please.
Well, that was LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay? He was the president. He was the vice president under JFK, John Kennedy. And then when Kennedy was assassinated, LBJ took over as president. Okay? But everybody says, well, LBJ is the one that signed that into law, signed the Civil Rights Act into law. That is correct, because the Republicans forced it. It was the Republicans that forced the abolition of all of the nonsense that had been going on because of Democrats wanting to continue to enslave specifically black people. So here's a little statistic for you. Ray, did you know that over 50% of the women who are pregnant, the black women who are in New York City, over 50% of them abort their children? Black women in New York City. Planned Parenthood is rampant all over the black community.
So this is another statistic that just came out, that when they overturned Roe v. Wade, right? They were expecting it to be a drastic drop or reduction of the amount of abortions that happened.
Okay.
It was only 3% droppage of people doing abortions. So, they're still out there, I don't know, short-term, late-term abortions or whatever, but it was only 3%. So, if it's 1 million people, 3% of 1 million people, how many lives are we saving? But then how many lives are still being taken? It's, even though they overturned it, it was only a 3% drop of the number of abortions that occurred.
Yeah. Well, here are some other sad components of the Democrat Party. When the Civil Rights Amendment was put in place, LBJ, one of the things that he signed was welfare into law. And a woman can get a welfare check from the government as long as no father is in the house. Prior to the early 60s, the black family was intact. Today, it's in a shambles. I hate to say it. There are the majority of the black families out there are single parent, single mother families. So
there's so many generations of not just African American families, but there's low income white families and low income
absolutely
race.
Absolutely.
But when you have generations that have been dependent on getting that welfare check,
yes,
and the kids grow up in that system where it's like, well, mom gets a check all the time. That's kind of a decent lifestyle. Why should I go to work?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
should I get an education? Why should I do any of that when I can just do what mom did, get pregnant, have babies, and get a check from the government and just live my life?
Well, and Ray, when you look at it,
gotta break that cycle.
You look at it, and what's going on today is the inner city is falling apart, and most major cities are run by Democrats. In the areas that are run by conservatives, more so than Republicans, but by conservatives, you have a thriving population.
Right.
But when it's run by a Democrat, just look at the inner city New York, inner city Baltimore, inner city Seattle, inner city San Francisco. Exactly. And you look at all of the major cities that are run by Democrats, they're falling apart. And we may have mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but Apple has closed their store in downtown San Francisco because of all of the looting and the crime that's going on. And there are several major retailers that are closing their stores in downtown San Francisco, and it's run by Democrats.
And you know what they're wanting to do? They're wanting to punish any business that closes their doors and leaves that state.
Yep.
They're going to find them. They're going to find them. How is that helping the business growth?
Ray, let's go to the next section. Let's go to the next section. Start at 333.
Gotcha.
Because if we are going to save this country, and I truly mean it, the Democrat Party must not just be defeated, it must be obliterated. Is that provocative? No, they're provocative. And so I want to read this to you. This comes right out of the box, out of a book I wrote called The Democrat Party Hates America, because it's never embraced Americanism. Is it the pro-Constitution party today? No. Bill of Rights? No. Private property rights? No. Individualism? No. They're for groupism. Capitalism? No, they hate capitalism. How about e pluribus unum? No, it's the opposite with them. They believe in critical race theory, promoting racism, enshrining racism. There used to be a party of women's rights. Now they hate women, with transgenderism destroying women's sports under Title IX, which was intended to support it as a civil rights matter. How about citizenry? They hate the citizenry. Joe Biden talks up foreigners even before they come into this country, while he trashes at least half of the American citizens on a regular basis.
So, Ray, let's talk about what he's saying there.
Do they like this?
He just listed off several different things that Democrats hate. They hate women. Now, that's pretty provocative right there, for whether it's Mark Levin saying it or one of us saying it. Democrats hate women, and they hate women having rights. And when you look at what's going on with the whole transgender in women's sports, how is that fair to women? How is it fair to women who 4, 5, 6 years ago to have transgenders, somebody that feels like a man that feels like he is a woman today, going into a ladies' bathroom? How is that fair to women and girls? So Democrats were all in favor of, if you feel like a woman, you go ahead and use a woman's restroom. How is that fair? How is it fair for what's her name, Gaines, that should have won the NCAA swimming trophy, but she was deprived of that trophy because of Leah Thomas, a man still with all of the male parts in place, but he said he was now a woman. A year before, he was swimming in men's competitions, and he was ranked like 300 and whatever in the country in male swimmers. And all of a sudden, one day, he decided he was going to swim as a woman, and he ties for the female competition. How is that fair?
I mean, you got to ask yourself this question also. How many women that identify as a man go play football or go play soccer? Or
non-existent. Non-existent.
None of them.
Yep.
None of them, because they know that they can't be as strong as them. We need to go to another commercial break.
We do. And Ray, before we do, these people, transgenders that are claiming to be a woman when they're actually a man, they have a psychological issue. They have a disorder, whatever you want to call it. They have a problem. And I know one of the ways that they can get some help. Hang on.
Life isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's full of roadblocks. The kind that aren't as easy to fix as filling a hole or repairing a car. Personal roadblocks are another thing altogether. Why do I feel stuck? The same things anger me every time. Why am I doing this anyway? Fixing it yourself can be frustrating and confusing. And if more than one person is involved, DIY might mean destroy it yourself. Maybe it's time for another solution. Steve Reed shines a light on your roadblocks and helps you find the best way forward for you. Stephen Reed Ministries, bringing light and hope for a victorious life. To overcome your roadblocks, schedule an appointment with Steve Reed today.
So how can people get a hold of you to schedule that appointment?
Well, across the screen, I've got info at StephenReedMinistries.com, and that's StephenReed Ministries.com. Info at StephenReedMinistries.com. And now I'm not going to claim that I can help somebody that is playing make-believe that they are a man when they're really a woman, or they are a woman when they're really a man.
or they're a puppy dog,
or a
or
cat,
a kitty
or
cat.
I know some people that are snakes, and no matter what. But anyway, that's another issue.
So I want to touch on this real quick, and then we'll move on. New York just had their Pride Parade.
I'm sorry.
And there were grown-ass men walking naked or riding bikes naked in front of children. And there was a chant.
I heard
here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. We're here, we're queer. They're so bolden that they're just saying what they're doing. They're here to groom children.
Yes.
Into their type of lifestyle, into shaming them for being homophobic so that they're accepted.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's sick. I don't know.
It's perverted.
I don't know what to say to that.
It's evil. It is evil. It's perverted. It is warped. Those people have psychological problems. Okay, I am not equipped to help those people. Okay, but it is pure evil what they are doing. There's absolutely no question when they say we're here, we're coming for your children. And Ray, stop and think. That is going on in our schools.
I'm a self-defense guy. When somebody says they're coming for the children, that's a threat I would take serious.
Oh, and you know what, Ray? I've got a good friend. We've had him on the show a couple of times. Kyle Sims, Katie Sims. He is in the middle of stuff here in North Texas, going to school board meetings because a lot of school boards are allowing that kind of bilge in the schools. It's going on in libraries. It's going on in public. It is absolutely insane, and we wonder why the country is in downfall.
Wake the cluck up, America! Wake the cluck up.
Ray, I've got another video. I do have another video I want to share, and this one I just saw this morning, and I got to give credit for this one to Dan Bongino. I was watching his broadcast this morning, his podcast, and I saw him play this. I thought, I got to find this video. Before I show this, though, folks, there is so much more from Mark Levin's program on Sunday night. Life, Liberty, and Levin. Go back, look at the video from his broadcast. He's talking about his new book, Democrats Hate America. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of that myself. But there's no question in my mind. Ray, I want to show you this video, and you need to.
Do I need to put my evangelist hat on?
Yeah, well, you at least need to buckle up and put your seatbelt on, and you may be a little bit incensed by this. I'm going to do a real quick setup with this. Churches, Christian churches today have different, what is called creeds. I believe in God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, etc., etc. Okay, there's several different creeds that are God-centered creeds. This is a new creed, and this is one that was recorded at a Lutheran church in Minnesota. Folks, hang on.
And let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had 2 dads, and saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit, who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity. I believe in the Church of Everyday Saints, as numerous, creative, and resilient as patches on the AIDS quilt, whose feet are grounded in mud, and whose eyes gaze at the stars in wonder. I believe in the calling to each of us that love is love is love. So beloved, let us love. Help my unbelief. Amen.
Can you believe that?
So when she said, and I'm not a theologist, but I do recall that Satanism wants everyone to be called them, they, or use all the pronouns.
Oh, yeah. It comes out of Marxism. Yeah. Collectivism. Ray, I haven't had a chance. I've seen this a couple times now. I haven't had a chance to really dissect.
There's part of it that it's about love and being accepting and everything, which as we should all be. But when she's like, okay, Jesus Christ has two fathers, and they're pushing that agenda, I'm like,
okay, now she's yeah, okay, she's on the edge. Okay,
right,
her earthly father was Joseph. Okay,
right,
her heavenly father was God the Father.
right.
Okay, so I can almost go along with what she's saying. Yes, Jesus said, but it wasn't Joseph and George.
Right.
It was Mary and Joseph. Joseph was her adoptive father, okay? Because
Right.
it was a virgin birth with Mary, okay? So technically, the Holy Spirit was Jesus' father, okay? Technically,
Right.
okay? So I'm not getting into a theological discussion here with this. But when you look at that, I mean, it just the way they are bending the truth is it is so deeply offensive. And this is a Lutheran church in Minnesota. And when I saw this from Dan Bongino playing it this morning, I'm like, you've got to be kidding. You have got to be kidding me. And I am, we are, she are, you are, they are, whatever. Let's all just be collective and love everybody, no matter what kind of an abhorrent lifestyle they have. It is absolutely insane.
So, I mean, I am speechless myself, but when you have, this goes back to the little tentacles of the little jellyfish that I'd look at as the Communist Party. They have their tentacles in our education system. They have their tentacles in our religious system. They have their tentacles in our governments. They have the tentacles in our boardrooms for major businesses.
Yep.
It is, we've got one of our listeners that says communism is a religion. That is their religion.
Yeah, it is.
And they're relabeling communism as many different ways as they can. And
yes,
as far as the LGBT or the African American, Black Lives Matter, everything you can think of, that if you disagree with it, then you're a homophobe, you're a racist, you're this, and that's exactly what the Communist Party does.
And Ray, what are all of those different isms doing? They are trying to destroy the American family, the fabric of our culture. They're trying to destroy real religion, okay? Whether it's Judaism, Christianity, or whatever it is, doesn't make any difference. They're trying to destroy that and make the government the religion.
Right.
And that's what they've been doing since the inception of the United States. That's what it's always been. And it's absolutely insane. But with that said, we need to take another break. Yeah. So let's see if we can talk about our friend Susan and OBBM Network.
Now your DFW events can be listed on the DFW events segment of OBBM Network News. New episodes posted each week are reaching people right here in your own backyard. Get in on this. Now it's affordable to reach thousands of people in new markets, offering exposure to your professional network like never before. Get us your listing by Tuesday at noon, and you'll be included in the following week's release on Monday. Email info@offbeatbusiness.com for our digital media kit and discover a better way to reach DFW. Not hosting events? Your business will benefit from the exposure our events list generates. Take advantage of brand exposure on the ticker or with the logo graphic, video advertisement, even a QR code. Click on our QR code to access our digital media kit now.
And one of the great things, they are working on some new branding things right now as we speak that show more of the platform, because OBBM is nationwide and they syndicate our program on all of the major podcast networks, whether it's iHeart or Ray, what are the other? Apple Podcast, Spotify,
Yep.
Rumble.
Yep.
So we're on all of the big boys. So thank you, OBBM and Network.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go from a 50-minute show to a 3-hour show here, 'cause there's just so much in the news that we need to talk about to help America wake up as to what's going on. I mean, more whistleblowers are coming out against Hunter Biden. More,
Yeah.
And the news media is just suppressing that information. Let's talk about something else other than what's happening with the Biden family. Whether it's the submarine or anything else that's a distraction, so that there's, again, nothing to see here. And that's the tentacles of the Communist Party, in my opinion, that is running the media.
Well, Ray, there was something that came out a couple of days ago. There was a whistleblower, an IRS whistleblower. I believe his name was Shapley, and he is giving testimony that the attorney that was investigating everything in Delaware, the state's attorney in Delaware that was investigating Hunter,
David
was
Weiss.
yes. He was told to stop trying to get information, and he could not become a special counsel to open up new opportunities or additional information on Hunter and the Biden family. And my understanding is, based on Shapley's testimony, that was put down by Merrick Garland himself. And he said, nope, you're not going to get that information. You're not going to become a special counsel, period. End of discussion. So don't even ask anymore.
So we need to impeach Merrick Garland. We need to impeach Joe Biden. And I'm hoping Congress will start taking the steps into going towards that in July.
Yes.
Because this corruption needs to stop.
No, it's insane.
And we need to start shining a light on everyone that is trying to destroy America. That's why we need to wake up America.
Yeah. And, Ray, one last thing, and then we need to talk about the coming week. One last thing is, I just saw a report yesterday, I believe it was, that Hunter Biden, in his tax records, shows that he bought a satellite telephone and gave it to his father so they could communicate, and it was not an official government phone, so they can have conversations. Yeah, exactly. So there is so much stuff that's being uncovered. So thankfully, Republicans are in charge of the House, and they can start doing, or they can continue doing, all of the investigations. And it's just, I don't remember it being this bad, Ray. Even
in my
during
lifetime, not in my life. I mean, it's
all
Jimmy
the scandal,
Carter, but this takes Jimmy Carter to the whole nother level.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter was just a bad president. He wasn't a corrupt president. Bill Clinton was a corrupt president, and he was bad. But this is a new level. This is a new level of corruption and evil that we have not seen before in this country. Not to say it hadn't been around the world, but this is a new kind of evil in our country. So anyway, all right, Ray, next Tuesday is the 4th of July. That
Correct.
is Independence Day for the United States of America. So what are your thoughts on our Independence Day?
I think we should have a historical show that talks about what a free America looks like, and make
That's
it
a
a
great
positive spin versus all of this crap we got to listen to in the news media about corruption. I mean, it's. I'm lividly sick to my stomach seeing what's going on with our country.
Right. I want to end us on a positive note, folks. This is a public. It is not a commercial of any sort. But check out the website, Wallbuilders, I believe it's .com, wallbuilders.com, and David Barton. He is an amazing historian. If you want to learn about the history, the founding of our amazing country, which between you, me, and the universe, America is still the greatest country on the planet, okay? Ever. Yes. It is the greatest. But check out David Barton and Wallbuilders. Learn history of the founding of America and learn what our principles were originally and why we were founded.
Don't learn the rewritten history.
Exactly.
Of what's out there.
Exactly.
Go back and get the facts.
Yeah. Here's another one. Go to heritagefoundation.org. They've got some absolutely fabulous information. More history, true, accurate history of the United States of America. So with that said, Ray, we'll put some things together. We'll see if we can't get some videos from some of these organizations and share some of the real history of the United States. So in the meantime, folks, don't go shooting off fireworks in your backyard. Our little furry friends do not like fireworks. If you want to do it, go to a public display someplace. But save your animals from the grueling torture that goes on with that, and be safe out there. And if you're
I'm gonna get some enjoyable sleep with my MyPillow pillows and my Giza sheets and everything that I get from MyPillow. So,
did you say your old geezer sheets?
No. My MyPillow Giza sheets. They are comfortable. I'm not a geezer yet.
Yeah, I got you on that one. Excellent. Ray, have a safe Independence Day holiday, and God bless America.
God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. See you next time.
Signing off.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. If you have suggestions for topics you would like us to discuss, or you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us today at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve at gmail.com. In the meantime, check out the other amazing programs on OBBM Network on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Join us again for another fun and informative opinion-based episode. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve.